Hi Yogi, and welcome to another episode of the Breathing Club with me, Oceana. In this class we will be looking at Viloma Pranayama. Of course, I'll be giving you just a little bit of background information on this technique. We'll be discussing the benefits of practicing this on a regular basis, and finally I'll be giving you some pointers before we actually dive into the practice together in real time, so that you really are able to maximize your benefit from practicing this technique. So of course I will leave you some timestamps in the video description below. If you prefer to sort of hop around to different parts of this topic, feel free to do that. Otherwise we will dive right into the introduction here. So as is the case with most Sanskrit words, they can really be broken down to their component parts. And in this case, we have two component words here. The first one being vi, which means against, and the second being loma, which typically means either hair or grain. So we could say that literally this means the breath that works against the grain, or the breath that works against the natural flow of breathing. So for the most part, this technique is associated with interrupting the inhalation and or the exhalation. Actually, once we get into practice, we will be doing all three of those different aspects. And you'll notice that they really have different effects on our state of mind. Now, for most of us, this is the first time that we are introduced to the idea of really expanding the length of the breath. And that in turn actually affects our lung capacity, but not particularly in a physical sense, but rather the amount of oxygen that our body thinks it needs. So for the most part, I find that when I practice this technique, once I've completed several cycles and I've slowly lengthened the breath, that actually my natural breath slows down quite drastically. So especially if you live in a busy place, and you might have noticed over time that actually you tend to maybe over breathe, actually taking a lot of very fast interval breaths. This technique really shows you that you do not need to breathe that much, and it shows your body that actually it can cope with less, which leads to a sort of calmer state of mind predominantly. More specifically in terms of benefits, so for most of us this is really a technique to improve our ability to control the breath, as well as our ability to really direct the breath into different parts of the lungs, which if you're following the series episode by episode, well done you, but also then you will already have started to explore that idea in the full complete breath video that I've done previously. Secondly, of course, as I've already sort of mentioned in passing, this breath really has a very cooling effect on both the body and mind. So on a hot day, this might be the technique to come to, and it can also help to relieve symptoms of anxiety and stress, as well as symptoms of PMS. So it might be a really good technique to combine with the yoga quickie video for period pain, for instance. So in terms of pointers, and these are some of my personal tips and tricks really. So firstly, I would say, as I've already mentioned, we can feel quite different effects by practicing this on the inhale and exhale. And in a sort of very general way, I would typically say that the inhalation, if we're focusing more on the inhale, usually gives us a sense of uplifting, and it can feel really energizing. So that could be something really positive on a day when we're feeling really low energy and also possibly very low mood. Then we might actually choose to focus more on our inhalation. On days when we feel really high anxiety, really high stress, focusing more on the exhalation is more beneficial, and it tends to have a more cooling, calming effect on the mind, and then that tends to get reflected in the physical body quite quickly. So see if you can feel that for yourself. Maybe you have a different response. Secondly, again, if you did do the full complete breath video, see if you can actually be very specific about which part of the lungs you're breathing into. So we'll be dividing the breath into 3 parts. So again, you could think about the belly breath, the breath laterally in the rib cage, the sides of the lungs, as well as the tops of the lungs, the chest. So there's literally 3 parts there for you, and really start to develop this ability to visualize the breath moving through the body. Finally, I would say one of the tendencies or things that can happen as we start to expand the breath, and especially, we'll do one round where we might be a little bit closer to our natural breath cycle length, and then we'll start to really expand that outwards. And what can happen, especially as we're pausing the breath, is that this can start to really almost stress out the mind. And then we have a sense that we're kind of grasping for that inhale. And we don't ever want to let ourselves get to that point, because it's really not a conducive way of learning these techniques. So stay within a range of breath that's manageable to you. If I start to lengthen the breath and it starts to stress you out mentally, then go back to an earlier version of that exercise. Stick with the beginning until it starts to feel a little bit more comfortable over time. And that will definitely happen, so don't worry about your progress. And as we did in the previous video, we are going to do this in a pose known as constructive rest. So you can have your feet hip distance or as wide as your yoga mat, and slowly roll onto your backside here. Now, if the feet are hip distance, mostly it will feel more comfortable to have the knees pointing towards the ceiling. If the feet are as wide as the yoga mat, you might find it comfortable to let your knees drop in towards one another and then rest the knees against each other. Make sure that your shoulders are fully supported by the floor. Have a little roll of the head against the mat to really find that perfect resting point. And already here, start to really soften the breath. See if you can allow the breath to be really natural and fluid, and maybe take a baseline reading at the beginning. So really ask yourself, where does the inhale begin in the upper body? Where's the first part that you're feeling that breath? Where does the exhale begin? And is there a big pause between the inhalation and the exhalation, or is it a very smooth, soft transition? Can you even notice whether the inhale or the exhale are longer than the other, or are they the exact same length? Now, all of us here are going to exhale together. And then as we inhale, inhale just 1/3 of the way and pause the breath. Inhale 2/3 of the way and pause. Inhale all the way to the tops of your lungs, hold the breath briefly, and exhale all the way down. We'll do that 2 more times on the inhale. So inhale for 1, pause. Inhale for 2, pause. Inhale all the way for 3, hold the breath, and exhale all the way down. Last time, inhale for 1, pause. Inhale for 2, pause. Inhale all the way for 3, pause. And exhale all the way. Now take a few rounds of breath here, let the breath settle briefly. Take a deep inhale when you're ready. On the exhale, exhale for 1, pause. Exhale for 2, pause. Exhale all the way, empty the lungs, hold the bottom of that breath. Take a full deep inhale, really fill the lungs with air. Exhale for 1, pause. Exhale for 2, pause. Exhale all the way for 3. Hold the bottom of that breath. Take a full deep inhale. And final time, exhale for 1, pause. Exhale for 2, pause. Exhale all the way, release and pause. Take a few rounds of breath here, let the breath soften again. Now we'll see if we can do that on both the inhalation and the exhalation combined. As I've mentioned before, if this is going to stress you out, then don't let it get that far. You can still only focus on one or the other. When you're ready, exhale all the air from your lungs. Inhale for 1, pause. Inhale for 2, pause. Inhale all the way for 3, hold the breath. Exhale for 1, pause. Exhale for 2, pause. Exhale all the way for 3, hold the breath. Inhale for 1, pause. Inhale for 2, pause. Inhale for 3, hold the breath. Exhale for 1, pause. Exhale for 2, pause. Exhale all the way for 3, hold the breath. Then take a few rounds of natural breath. Let the breath soften again. Find as natural of a state of breathing as you can possibly find. Now here is where we'll try to actually expand the breath for more counts. So again, if you start to feel that this is stressful to you, don't go there. Take a step back, come back to the previous version that we've just done. Otherwise, when you're ready, exhale all the air from the lungs. We'll start again with just the inhale. So inhale for 1 and 2, pause. Inhale for 3 and 4, pause. Inhale for 5 and 6, pause. Exhale all the way. Inhale for 1 and 2, pause. Inhale for 3 and 4, pause. Inhale for 5 and 6, hold the breath. Exhale all the way. Last one, inhale 1 and 2, pause. Inhale 3 and 4, pause. Inhale 5 and 6, hold the breath. Exhale all the way, take a few rounds of breath. Now switching that over to the exhale, when you're ready, take a deep inhale. Exhale for 1 and 2, pause. Exhale for 3 and 4, pause. Exhale for 5 and 6, pause. Take a full inhale. Exhale for 1 and 2, pause. Exhale for 3 and 4, pause. Exhale for 5 and 6, pause. Take a deep inhale. Exhale 1 and 2, pause. Exhale 3 and 4, pause. Exhale 5 and 6, pause. Take a deep inhale, allow a few rounds of breath to pass. Now again, we will eventually try to see if we can do that both on the inhale and the exhale at the same time. So whenever you're ready, take a full exhale. Inhale for 1 and 2, pause. Inhale for 3 and 4, pause. Inhale for 5 and 6, hold the top of the breath. Exhale for 1 and 2, pause. Exhale for 3 and 4, pause. Exhale for 5 and 6. Hold the bottom of the breath. Inhale for 1 and 2. Pause. Inhale for 3 and 4. Pause. Inhale for 5 and 6. Hold the top of that breath. Exhale for 1 and 2. Pause. Exhale 3 and 4. Pause. Exhale 5 and 6. Hold the bottom of the breath. Last round. Inhale for 1 and 2. Pause. Inhale 3 and 4. Pause. Inhale 5 and 6. Pause. Exhale 1 and 2. Pause. Exhale 3 and 4. Pause. Exhale 5 and 6. Hold the bottom of that breath and then let the breath come back to a natural rhythm. It would really help if your yoga teacher could actually count to 5 or 6. Apparently I can't. Once you feel that the breath has settled back into that natural state, more or less, again, take another reading of your breath. So notice whether there's a change in the relationship, the length of the inhale compared to the exhale. Notice the state of that pause between the inhale and exhale. So is that now different to the beginning? And notice the overall length of that breath. Is that breath now slower or faster than before? Maybe all of that is exactly the same and nothing has changed. Maybe notice the state of your mind, the state of your emotions, your feelings. And just take a brief moment to really take stock of what is there, what is present within the body. Gradually, when you're ready, lean your knees to one side. Make your way very gently, slowly up to a comfortable seated position. Bring the palms to touch in front of the chest. Bow the forehead towards the fingertips. If you would like to plant a sankalpa, a good intention for the rest of your day or week ahead of you, maybe send it to somebody else. And this is where we'll close the practice. So of course, if you enjoyed it, do give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and spread the good word. If you have any particular breathwork exercises that you would like me to cover, then drop me a comment down below. And if you would like to find me anywhere else online in the meantime, all of my social media links are in the video description as well. And I hope to see you back on your yoga mat very, very soon, yogi. And thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.